Hey everyone, here with another Road to Masters. I wanted to talk today specifically about what you should be doing to climb. I think people ask me, how do you climb? I think this gets conflated with how do you win the game sometimes. TFT is really a game about average placement, not necessarily just about winning. It's about average placement. Because if I said, for example, I have a 50% chance to go first and a 50% chance to go eighth, I don't think that's very good because you would pretty much just even out in terms of climbing. What you want is your average placement not to be a 4.5 with a high percent chance to win and a high percent chance to go eighth. You really want just, something like I have a 3.0 AVP and I have a good chance to win, but I can't place lower than like a fifth or sixth realistically. But I'm averaging about a 3. Right? I think those would be kind of the main point for me. And you really just want to play for your AVP, and win rate does matter. Let's go to like one of these sites. Win rates do matter, but you can kind of see these are all around like 12%. Maybe some are particularly, not good win percentage like Challenger, Jinx, or something like that. But under any certain conditions, this can be bumped up or be bumped down. If you have certain augments, maybe early learnings, it makes one cost reroll particularly good. If you have, let's put on some good units right now. If you have certain setups, if you hit on tempo, let's say you hit really, really quickly on a 3-cost reroll comp, I don't care how bad it might look in the stats like MF reroll. I don't know if it has like an 8% win rate, but if you hit really, really fast and you played it from a good spot and you were able to win streak, that's artificial gold that is just really exceptional for you, right? We haven't played the early game at all. So let's do that. Part of the swarm would be fun, but I don't think it's that good at all. So this would be something that's very like first or eighth, right? You're either going first hitting the prismatic trait, or you're going eighth, getting there and die trying, basically. Let's not go for that. That would be the opposite of what would be good here. So I think that's a really good example of something that's not good. Subscription service, I think not that good. We could play worth the wait. I don't have really a board, but my items aren't that flexible. So I don't think my board is that good. We should check my psionic to see if it makes any sense. I think Forged in Strength makes a ton of sense in my current spot. And we got something really generic. With Forged in Strength, I think we can just generically play a pretty weak board here. We don't have to be that strong, and we can try to make econ and just try to play a reasonable board that uses the Forged in Strength. These prismatic augments start getting very, very specific. Let's start selling these. These prismatic augments start getting very, very specific. So we will have to know a lot of detail, but in general, you can think about Forged in Strength as I'm getting a bunch of random artifacts. I'm going to get a lot of deferred power later on, but I'm not going to be able to choose my artifacts. So we're going to want to keep Reforgers and stuff like that. But I think the main thing is that you want a comp that uses the AP, the AD, and the tank artifacts all pretty well. There's a couple comps that come to mind. Corki, Riven, Melio Fizz comes to mind as a very good comp for that. I think Timebreaker makes a lot of sense. I'm not trying to be strong right now. If I had Prim, that'd be fine, but here I'm not trying to be as strong as possible now. I'm just kind of waiting for my time to shine. I think knowing when your comp shines is kind of the important part of TFT. If you're supposed to roll on a certain stage, for example, 1-cost reroll, hitting that tempo, you don't want to hit in stage 4 when people are hitting 2-star 4 costs, because that's their time to be strong. Your time to be strong is sometime in stage 3, in contrast, right? So I'm just going to play reasonably based on my spots. I could have taken buried treasures, but my board wasn't that good, and that's also deferred. This one just seems a bit better if I'm trying to defer my power. It has higher upside. This goes a bit into balancing, but there are a lot of reasonable options there. I just think this was the best in my spot. Let's go ahead and make 20 here. Streaking is another thing we really want to talk about here. Normally I talk about being really urgent on win streak, positioning, all that stuff. I think the same exact thing actually applies to lose streaking. It's arguably more important. In fact, I think it's the most important thing, especially if there's an anima player or something like that. We make money through interest as lose streakers, but we also make money through streaking. So streaking is the most important thing when you're lose streaking, because you're not going to make much money because you don't win rounds. I'm not out here winning rounds, so I'm not getting that sweet +1 gold every time I win. So I'm just relying on interest and the streak gold itself. If I kill my lose streak, then I'm only relying on interest. Guess what? Everyone can make interest, right? As long as you're not sending it straight to 0 every single time, this person's making interest, this person's making interest, you know? That's not how you differentiate yourself in the game, and that's not how you make a lot of money. Streaking is one of the best ways to make money, as well as playing a good trait could also be another good way to make money. We might want to think about the Gnar hold, but I didn't actually do it. I think I need to out-int this Anima player is actually the big concern, so yeah. Again, I'm looking for deferred power. Mystery loot ends up being econ most of the time, but I don't really like just getting a belt here. I also don't want that many items, if we're being honest, as well. Just taking a quick look if 80 or AP is looking better. It's hard to tell. Maybe glove generically could be frontline or backline. I kind of like that. So we really want to be as weak as possible, and it's really important that we, in this example, what did we get here? 2 cost plus a lesser dupe. Let's just make econ as much as possible here. We really need to grief them because 1, we need to keep our lose streak, but 2, if they get a big Anima cash out, once we lose all our HP, you can't be the person who bounces back with, let's say I bounce back with exactly 35 HP with Forge and Strike. That's when I decide to spike because that's my time to shine. Like I said, we can't really do that if someone is just going to kill us twice. If we're at 30 HP and then they hit us for 15, hit us for 15 because they got a 600 Anima cash out or something like that, and they're just unbeatable. So that's the downside of lose streaking so much. But the upside is that obviously I have a more than powerful augment. They also have a deferred strength augment and comeback story where they'll be really, really strong as they lose more HP. I'm going to be really, really strong as I lose HP as well. We really, really needed to lose that. I would say that they made a mistake and they need to play 3 Anima and they need to trap their units and all that good stuff. They need to play the weakest board possible. I talk about playing strongest board. Playing the weakest board possible is actually very, very, very important as well. Going back to this augment and what my game plan is here, I think quite simply, I'm just going to, as the kids say, put the fries in the bag. The fries being very, very simply just trying to play Corki here. I think this person really wants to play Gnar reroll, and I think this makes sense. This they're going to have Maokai, but at the same time, for myself, I think that with Light Shield, I know that this is really good on Rammus. I could also play Mech here as well. I would have to like look up some stats right now to see if this is good on Mech and all that stuff. I think Corki makes a ton of sense, especially given my swords and stuff. It makes a ton of sense. We could play around Urgot, holding the 80 items. Mech is a good comp where you can play the Mighty Mech, Aurelian Soul, and Urgot, and so you have an 80, an AP, and a tank to absorb all the artifacts. No matter what you get, you can't miss here. That's totally fine as well. I just believe that this one isn't like a crazy Mighty Mech item. This isn't a crazy Galio item, and that this is more of a Bastion item because it combines my armor and MR, but it's not going to be bad to go into Mech here if I have to. So I did say play the game reasonably. I didn't have a strong opener, so I played to being completely weak here, and I think that is absolutely fine to just play to being as weak as possible. I want to streak no matter what, and you know, lose streaking is totally viable, and this does mean that I have a high win rate, but I also think that I have a high AVP with this as well. Obviously, because I get such deferred strength, the game is like, if you get there, you're going to be really strong, you're going to be up like 3 artifacts or something like that compared to the average player. That's going to be like advantage, right? More so than anything. We could also play Space Grooves. I think someone else is playing Space Grooves. So we can't really do that. That'd also be a good comp because, you know, Ornn can take all the tank items. This is also a really good item on Bastion, like we went over. But we'll see what we actually end up getting. We'll see what we actually end up getting here. We want to save some amount of HP, right? I guess we could be as weak as possible. But I think this is pretty reasonable. We probably should get the Space Grooves out of my head. And I don't want to pop these anvils quite yet. I'm just going to get rid of the Space Groove. We'll see. Maybe you get branching out is the reason to not pop here, slam here, all that stuff. I obviously didn't want to slam versus Lil CC Banditos, who was playing Anima at the time. I really didn't want to pop against them, right? Or sorry, slam against them. That'd be really bad if my Pantheon had an item, we positioned well, we played strongest board. That'd be really, really bad. But here I have no incentive to really pop my anvils because I'm not trying to win these fights. I'm not trying to win these fights. In fact, I'd like to proc my Force and Strength sooner rather than later. With Priz Ticket, I think there's an argument to playing Ornn. There's a pretty big argument to it. I can make BIS items as well, but we see we're contested there. Doesn't make that much sense. We are contested on the meeple, but I'm not too worried about it. This makes sense with just money, but it's a little anti-synergy. It's a bit strange here. I think I'm just looking for combat to be as strong as possible. We definitely don't want items. There's nothing wrong with econ, but I actually think I have a fair amount of econ personally. So I kind of am okay with Baron's Lair here, which is the best combat that I can think of right now. Let's try not to be too strong. I do want to make this Mute C2 though. And Crown Guard is definitely okay. With Light Shield, we'll probably want to pair this up with a resistance item. So Crown Guard's not the best, but it's definitely acceptable. You could have also just gone Prismatic Ticket here, but looking at this person, they seem like they're in a really good spot. They seem really committed. I don't really want to mess with that as much as possible. I really don't want to mess with that. We could try to save some HP here, but actually I kind of want to proc this sooner rather than later, just to kind of make my turns easier while I explain more of the thought process of what's going on. Should I level? Should I not level? I think the Bandito person is very scary. Maybe I shouldn't have made this Meepsy because I need to outsack them again. I don't think it's that necessary. I'm going to pre-level. Maybe we can hit a 4 cost. Okay, this sounds a little scripted here, but we did hit the 4 cost, so that was very, very ideal. We're still going to try to be weak, so I'm not going to slam here. I would like to lose, keep my lose streak. This is not my time to shine. I can start winning. In fact, if I played this person, I would start slamming a bit, but I really want to get to 35 HP, and instead of playing this person, let's just try to kill as many units as possible. Like that is the goal, so we should add damage, not frontline, to my board. Here, let's see if we can add these 2 items, and that be okay for us. I don't think we're going to be incredibly strong. They have a Teemo with a Rage Blade. I just want to kill as many of these, like Nasai or whatever, the small units as much as possible. Killed 2. Ooh, so close to killing this Nasus. Maybe if I added a sword to one of my Nars, it'd be good. Again, I'm not looking for more items. That's definitely not what we're looking for here. And we're about to cash as well. Is there any item that we want? This is a Mighty Mech. Maybe this is Gargoyles so that I can start fishing for as many swords as possible here. I think that makes sense. Gargoyles really pairs well with Light Shield. Also, I need Baron's Lair, so getting multiple tanks isn't even that bad. Here, I think you could take Mighty Mech too, Mighty Mech as well, and that'd be completely reasonable. We're not going to play 2 Prim here anymore. This is a training dummy, which should, in theory, help us. Do we want to level to lose 1 gold here? Nah, it's not our time to shine, right? It's not our time to shine. Let's just go ahead and slam this Gargoyle. Actually, I kind of want to lose here, right? Let's remover that. I don't even know why I removered it. I probably could have just played anything over it. I think they might be strong. It looks like they're going towards mech, so good that we found our way over to Corki. I think we might be too strong here, but we'll see. They did slam their items, and I do have Baron's Lair, but they have a 2-star Aurora, so I'm hoping to lose just by a little bit here. Nice. This is what the kids might be calling a perfect loss. I'm going to pre-level here, again, for just odds. I think my board is reasonably strong with kind of any combination here. And we're at 32 HP, so we could bounce back now. We might as well keep our lose streak going into neutrals here, is kind of my thought. And let's see what we get. Prowler's Claw, Indomitable, and Death's Defiance. This looks really good. This looks good, and I don't mind winning this fight. Do we really want to win this fight, I guess, is the question. I want to kill as many units as possible. I want to kill as many units as possible. So we'll scout the fight and see what's going on here. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to win this in 1,000 years. And then we got, in my head, 3 Riven items here. Oh, we should probably have put Indomitable on here instead. That's Defiance. Hopefully we're not strong. With Baron's Lair, we might be a bit strong, so this could be a bad fight judgment from my side. I'm not even going to slam the rest of my items. I'm way stronger. This is my fault. Whatever. It's okay to win rounds. I don't want to be too low HP, but I don't want to be that high HP anyways. We're going to be off interval now. Normally you can do this thing called 4-2ing it. You just go on 4-2, but instead we might want to go on 4-1 instead. We probably should have just lost that for extra gold, but it's not the worst thing in the world. I'm going to redo this. I think Indomitable is too good paired up with Light Shield and Gargoyles. Indomitable, just 500 HP, really good on Rammus, and then 220 armor, 20 magic resist, also really good. Crown Guard, I think we can just put on our secondary tank, which hopefully is Mighty Mech 2, but it could be a Ross 2 or a Meepsy 2, we'll see. We're getting a lot of tank items. Maybe this should be, you know, combining. Yeah, we have enough gold. Should be fine. That's really good. I think we're going to sell, play. We have everything we want, right? I think we're missing a Poppy, actually. So Prowler should go here. I'm thinking about making Titans. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna put Crown Guard on you. We want to find quirky items, right? Last Whisper is really good. I think Titans. We want this chain to turn into an offensive component. Titans makes a lot of sense with DD as well. And then we want 3 damage items for my Corki as much as possible here. So DB makes a lot of sense. And then we should be looking for anti-heal here or a third Corki item. Either could be acceptable. We have pretty good carries right now, and we're paired up on 2 of our main carries. We really just need a Poppy is the main thing. We don't want items. As you can tell, we're overflowing with items. We're really overflowing with items. That's not what we want. Even though Belt Overflow makes sense conceptually with Baron's Lair, I think a regular combat will do better. Of these that look good, honestly, Radiant Rascals looks the best. Maybe I can Radiant Rascals my Fizz. Jeweled Lotus does make some amount of sense. It doesn't help my Corki that much, but my team is more than my Corki at this point, and conceptually I'm looking for combat. I don't think the Bronze for Life ends up being that good on my board, so let's just go ahead and choose this one for now. I think this is probably good enough to stop on, and we're looking for a third Corki item here. I don't see one, is kind of the main thing. I'm not seeing one here, so maybe we just have to go Morello. We could also go Blue Buff. Blue Buff could also work as a third Corki item. We probably want 3 item. Notice how we don't make a Morello here. I think a lot of people would make Morello. We just want to get 3 item Corki as much as possible. I think we'll eventually want Morello, and that's what this will turn into. But if I'm going to itemize my Corki, I'm going to make sure that they're very strong. Yeah, we really want to make sure they're strong. And at the worst case, I can move Blue Buff over to Melio later on. Later on we can. But Blue Buff has some level of synergy with Baron's Lair. And we have double combat here and items. As long as we hit our board, we should be very good. And we got a lot of econ. People have this rule in mind where you need to have one econ, one combat, 1 item augment. That's a general good rule of thumb, but as you can tell, I have I have 1 item augment and 2 combat augments, or I guess half an item and half combat, and then full combat here. We didn't get econ, but guess what? I got econ in the form of blue streaking, and I got econ in the form of Timebreaker. So that rule doesn't really apply here, right? Because you can get econ from different sources. You can even get it from the gods. Maybe there was a gold opener and you got a ton of gold. You just started the game with 20 gold. We don't need econ nearly as much, right? So I think those rules are good as a, rule of thumb, but really you have to play your game iteratively. You have to play your game as it's coming to you and what makes sense, and choose augments that make sense. If you're win streaking, you better not take an econ augment, let me tell you. You better take an augment that makes you strong with an item or anything else like that. Again, I'm not looking for items here. This does give me Morello, so that's a plus side, but I'm kind of just always okay with mystery loots here in comparison. This gives me a Riven 2. I'm quite keen on a Riven 2. None of these other components look that good for me, and I can itemize my Fizz with the extra AP items is kind of where I'm at. I know people like itemizing Melio. I think Fizz is just a beast. In fact, I might go for Fizz 3-star. Here, looks like we get an Anvil. Fizz really likes mana generation, because every third cast the Fizz ults has the big fish come out, so That's kind of the important thing here. We still haven't found a Poppy. I'm wondering if going for Fizz 3 is ridiculous here. I still want to roll on 8 for a bit. I know this seems ridiculous to want to roll on 8, but I kind of want to roll on 8 here. We could play for Bard Cap as well, and play for Shen. That is definitely possible. Oh, I didn't even see that we were contested. That's got to be on me to know that we're contested, actually. So rolling seems a little bit worse, that being said. Seems a little bit worse. Maybe we should go to 9 and play around Bard Shen. Normally, I don't really care about the Bard Shen cap, but I did throw away a Bard, so it feels kind of bad. But I think there's an argument to re-rolling down here. We're just kind of too strong, is where I'm at. We don't have Bastion on our board, which really sucks. Okay, now this is a lot better. I'm wondering if keeping the Fizz 3 out makes sense, and if I should have just rolled here. We still have this guy to roll for, and we have this guy to roll for. But I think going 9 is completely reasonable as well. You know, if we're going to go with that, I think it's completely fine to just sell the Fizz 3 out. We're going to be really far from it. We kind of have to see the pacing of the game. If I'm going to be spending all this money for re-rolling, we're not going to have the money for Fizz 3, right? So that's kind of the main thing for me here. And I think we can... It's okay to roll here. I think Fizz 3 is like an out that we need to consider, but it's kind of annoying to hit when there's another... they probably have Fizz 2 as well, so it's kind of hard to know that we're going to hit there. And this person also has Fizzes as well, so I'm not that keen. Just rolling for a couple things is not that important. My whole team comp matters, and maybe I can get Bardo items later into the game. Bard Shen as kind of my cap. Replace this Poppy with Bard and Shen. That should be pretty good for us. Yeah. We kind of can use the money. Do we like Rage Blade though? I don't really like Rage Blade. We also want anti-heal, so I'm looking for anything with a belt. Boom. That's something with a belt. For Morello, and then adaptive. I'm gonna go 3 item here, 3 item here. As much as possible, I want, you know, some people ask me, should we be building carries more or damage dealers more? It depends is the answer, but I actually have a good carry to itemize here. I think Fizz is a legitimate carry. And these are, you know, good items on him. Perfect items, not really. Eventually, I think we would want to make a 3 item, move the Morello here and then put Crown Guard over here and start building a second tank. But because I have Baron's Lair, this does make perfect sense, right? To want to have more tankiness. But in comps, it does matter quite a bit. But like, Meep C2 is not that strong. I'm not going to look to itemize them. That's not really my goal at the end of the day. Maybe this Fizz 3 will come back with all the Threshes stuff going on. I think I want to move away from these Vexes and the Lulus. I'm not really sure, but I want to stay on the same side as this Yi. This Yi will come and attack my Rammus, and then hopefully my Riven will walk up and hit the Yi instead. That's how you can counter the melee matchup, is by walking a bit later. It sounds a bit stupid, but you can back row your Riven. For those wondering why I'm back rowing my Riven, that's exactly what I'm doing it for. My Riven's going crazy here. I kind of didn't want my Riven close to the Lulu splash, but looks like she's bouncing around all over the place anyways. And hopefully you see we're putting all our damage onto one side as much as possible. Having our synergy there is kind of really important. So we're playing like, what is this comp, by the way? A 8.6% win rate, but we kind of just have played reasonably. In my opinion, we played really, really reasonably throughout the game. Do we want to level here? If I had a Rost, I'd want to level here. I don't really have a Rost, but the people I'm playing against are quite strong, so maybe we should. Maybe just add a Bard to my board to go along with my Meepses. And if I win this fight, ooh, they're really, really strong, right? They have 2-star, 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 5 costs, a bunch of these 2-star, 5 costs, and they didn't even take that many, like, econ augments to get there. So I'd imagine that they have a really high chance of winning here. We'll see how it goes, but my comp is no joke either, right? Let's make 10 here. My comp is no joke. So even though I have a lower win rate comp, on paper their board looks really, really good, right? It looks really, really good. They got to a 2-star 5 cost board without much econ. This is just 1 econ augment. And they have 2-star graves. It's no problem, actually. We're gonna roll here for Corki 2. Bardo is good. We eventually need the Shen and everything right now. 6 people obviously does nothing right now. There's an argument that this is stronger. There's a decent argument that this is stronger, actually. Or I don't know if it's stronger, but it's not that much weaker is where I'm at. And then it allows me to print some more gold here. I think it's a decent argument. Voyager whole board is really, really good. So I'd imagine that this is not better, but I kind of need the gold to hit some other of these units. And I think my board is strong enough is where I'm at. It adds more like tankiness to my board, so I think it's pretty good synergy with Meeple. So yeah, if it's weaker, it's only like slightly weaker in my head. It's only slightly weaker. And all we've done is just play a reasonable board, a reasonable line from my spots. Put, we talked about the cash out. I got 80 items and then a tank item, used it perfectly. That's all you really need to do at the end of the day. Maybe we need to upgrade my quirky item from blue buff, and we can give this blue buff over to Melio/Bard. We could also go frontline item. I think we're close to mech, so I don't even hate frontline item here. I also don't hate improving my quirky items, but I think my quirky items are fine. Now with Mighty Mech, I think this is no-brainer better. And I'm still just rolling for... I'm just going to 3-item this and then move these items over to Bard as soon as possible. Shojin isn't really well loved on Bard for what it's worth. It's not really well loved because he spends most of the time casting. So that's not really great, but I'm going to put items on my 2-star 5 cost. You better believe I'm going to put items on my 2-star 5 cost here. We're still looking for Quirky 2. Quirky 2 is going to be the biggest spike onto my board, obviously, but this should be good enough. Oh, they gave me some extra gold as well. But all we've done this game is play really reasonably. My AVP, no matter what I did, I think was pretty good. We got Econ. The value of streaking was super high. And I want to roll really badly for this. And we'll move all my items over to you. Shojin's not actually good on Bard, like I said. Maybe I can look to get this off of him. Maybe I should have actually double removed and put Shojin on Quirky. I could see that as well. Not that blue buff and this are much better, but it's a little bit better. We can move Morello off later and then get a third real Bard item, or we could get a real third Quirky item, whichever one you think is stronger here. And we just need to replace this Poppy with Shen, but honestly, it's honestly no big deal. This person has also played the game really reasonably. They were level 8, making a really strong board. And then they've just slowly gone to 9 as a result. They've maybe taken too much econ is kind of what I'm seeing here. And they have nowhere for their econ to go. But maybe they're trying to transition over to a 9 board as much as possible. Let's put this over here. And I don't really want you to block that. So we did end up at a cap here. We should probably move our utility item. Is probably going to be our best thing. We can look at the damage chart. Quirky is doing a lot of our damage here. Bard doesn't have great items, so I can't blame Bard for not doing the best job he could. We could also just get third item over here onto my tank. All are pretty reasonable decisions, I think. So as long as you're making any of the reasonable decisions, like I've kind of repeatedly said, I think you'll be okay here. How good is Gargoyle here? I'm kind of okay with it. I think 3-item, just getting my Baron's Lair to proc, that is like an item over here. And doesn't matter who we put this on. We'll just wait until we get another 6, hopefully. Here, I'm going to actually position for once in my life and put my Rammus over on their strong side. Put my Rammus on their strong side. I'm kind of afraid of their Graves having laser ballistic, so I don't want to group up my guys too much. So that the Graves doesn't get a perfect line and is hitting multiple things. That'd be kind of the worst thing. But this person's really strong. They got all their Graves upgrades. We'll see if we outcap. I kind of doubt that we do just because Graves is so strong. This is a ghost board, so it's hard to tell. But it is really, really hard to outcap, the infinite cap Graves. But, I promote playing reasonably. I promote choosing your best line. I think that's what this video is all about at the end of the day. Hopefully we get some money. We do get some money. And then now we can level 4 Ross, which is, boom, my board is completely and utterly done. There's not much for me to do here at all. And we're probably just going to try to position the same exact way as we just did. I don't think that we're going to be tricky about it or anything. Maybe I can greed my Fizz to get some value here, and maybe this guy, just so that I have some semblance of tanks over on this side. and we read the full value. But I'm just gonna move my strongest tanks over onto their strong side. I don't really care about this fight. I'm probably going to lose this fight as a result, but that's no problem to me. What I care about is my next fight, which you can see by the indicator. People ask me like, oh, I don't see the indicator. It should show your possible matchups kind of regardless. And look, I think this Graves is maybe a giga beast. This Fast 9 is maybe crazy, but you can see that we just played our board from a reasonable spot. And even though our win rate, again, you know, is 8.57, and the win rate of the Graves comp, I'm sure it's indescribably good. I don't even know how to filter this, but it's probably like 25% plus once you get like 5 upgrades like this person did. It's probably like 50% chance of winning, you know, on average. But I played my game from a really, really good spot. I played it very naturally. I played it with raw fundamentals, right? And I played like a B tier comp or like a mediocre comp with an 8% win rate. Sorry, I lost track of it. 8% win rate here. But I just played it from a good spot, played normal TFT, played good solid TFT, and that's all you need to do, right? That's all you need to do in the game is play good solid TFT. And the worst I placed there, right? Like, let's say I did get outcapped. The worst I placed there is second. Let's say that Graves player beats me, but the other player does not. The worst I placed there is second. So my AVP, if you just think it's a 50-50, is a 1.5. So you don't necessarily need to win the game. You just need to play reasonably throughout the game, and good things will happen. I trust, believe me, good things will happen if you just play the game from what your augment tells you on 2-1 all the way to the end. Like, if you just keep making good decisions in TFT, good things will happen. And this is how you climb in TFT, is hunting for your AVP and just playing the game iteratively as it comes. Thank you guys all for watching. This is very different flavor from my other videos, but if you like this, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.